Welcome back to now episode 3 of Targeted to Transcendent, the Blacksheep experiment. This episode is going to be about the mother wound, and it's going to start with a kind of like letter call out to the moms of all targeted individuals and the ones that caused damage to their own children during these times, the ones that ran smear campaigns on their children, etc., or cashed in their own child for some type of selfish gain. And then we're going to go through the dynamics of being the black sheep and a narcissistic family dynamic as well. So this is just about the mother wound in general. Thanks for tuning in. I have a message for the mothers of this collective, and I mean our mothers. We literally would have done anything for you, and I mean that in the most honest way ever. Like, anything for you. Like, the narcissistic manipulation was real, but like in the purest form, we already knew that about you. Like, we already knew we were the black sheep. We already knew you were a covert narcissist. Like, we already knew these things about you. We already knew that you would be vengeful if we ever stepped to you in certain ways. We already knew that speaking up against you was gonna bring a hellfire storm to us. But it was either that or lay down and roll over and end it, because that's the position that you put us in. We don't want to hurt you. We never wanted to hurt you, ever. You hurt us. You put us in a position where we had to speak up against you. We didn't have a choice. If we didn't speak up against you, we were losing our lives, our existences. You know, you can't take the very life that you gave out of here. You don't own us. You brought our vessel into the world. It doesn't mean you get to take us out of it. It doesn't mean you get to control what happens to us in it. And you have that weird owning on us. And only us and the things that came out of us. You've been using us for far too long, and now you've used us to paint yourself into this completely perfect hero, grandma, victimized, whatever, while you villainize your own child and lie and destroy them. You need to take examples and notes from that child that you're destroying. That child is built of love. That child is built of like force, power, drive, intuition, source, the Most High. You're out here condemning the very thing that you made and created that is so beautiful. And you're destroying it, and you're breaking it, and you're keeping it from the world. There's a reason everything looks the way it looks, feels the way it feels. Because what you did, what you've been doing, it's not okay. And the only way to literally save you in a way that you don't understand and it kills us is to stop you. You have to be stopped. You gotta stop hurting people. And you do it in such a silent, slow killer way that you got your target that you use to just suck the life out of them and control their every move and their everything, so you can like present yourself to the outside world in a certain way. You use that person to feel better about yourself, and you didn't care about their life at all. And that was your own child. That was your own child's life that you used for a pity party. For a story that wasn't there, for a story that didn't exist, so you could gain something that was your child's. You were doing this to take something from your child because you wanted it for yourself. You wanted something your child had for yourself, that you sacrificed your own child's existence, their reputation, their hard work, their families, their children, because you wanted something that they had. That is not a mother. That is not a mother. That is not a mother. A mother gets up and fights for their children. A mother stands by their children. A mother takes on the world for their children. A mother does what I do. And I've exhausted all resources before I had to do it this way. And this is the way the Most High wants it, because it's been going on for far too long. And these generational curses are so deeply engraved in these families that we're disconnected from. We've detached from. Like, we know, we get it, we understand coming in here, we understand like the souls and the vessels, and we understand source, we understand all of this, you know what I mean? We also understand oneness and connection. We understand that the darkness is moving in unison for us. We understand our purpose. We understand our purpose in your life. So you literally born and bred the one that was brought here to stop you and teach you what love actually is, and show you what being a mother actually is. And you're out here condemning us and trying to take us off the planet. And I mean, a lot of you. This is way too popular of a situation, okay? We loved you more than anyone on this planet loved you, and that is a fact. Nobody on this planet sees you more than we see you. Nobody loves you more than we love you. Nobody has validated you more than we have validated you. No one has stood behind you more than we have stood behind you, and you are out here trying to destroy us. And you know we're not wrong. Like, we were behind you in everything. We praised you. We put you on a pedestal. We thought you were just... You did no wrong in our eyes. You did no wrong in our eyes. You did no wrong in our eyes. You were perfect in your broken mess. Could we see all of it? Yes, but we loved you so much, and we knew why you were the way that you were. And we would have rode with you to the end of time and continued to try to show you a better way, in a way where you didn't know that we were doing that. But we've been doing that for years. 4 years. And years. Since we got it, we're trying to give it to you. And instead of you taking it the right way, you robbed it from us. You stole our life force. You stole our fucking life from us. Over envy and weird jealousy that you don't have with your child. You want your child to succeed. You want your child to rise. You want your child to become. And you stand on that. You don't do this to your kid. Mothers out there, please wake up. We don't want to hurt you. We don't want to see you continue to go down this road. We want you to wake up and do the right thing. We want you to do the right thing. We want to love you, and like, we can't. We can't. And like, you know, while you were destroying us, we were begging you for love still. Until the nitty-gritty end, where it was cease and desist or speak up and fight. And a lot of us got off our knees at the same time. And we're coming full force for this world, and we're coming to bring love and peace back into this world. And I think you all know that. And we're not stopping. I don't know who we are, I don't know, whatever, but like, there's these people with this really, really big force to end corruption, to end hatred, to end division, to bring in a world full of love and truth and honesty and real family. And we won't stop until we get it. And we won't stop until our children get it. And I think everyone's starting to see that. I love you, mothers of this world. Your children love you. But they're not gonna die for your ego. Watch how much they love you. Coming up against you is their last act of love to you, because it killed them. Trust me, it killed them. That is the only way for them to be able to stay here and have a life on this earth, and for you to have a chance to have redemption, salvation. You know you don't feel good for what you did. You know you don't feel good for what you did. It's eating you alive. Truly, at the end of the day, it's eating you up. It is eating you up. Stop playing the victim. Own. You know, you want to put a mental illness on me my whole life. For my whole life. And all of this collective. You have told us that we have a mental disorder. You have a mental disorder. You have covert narcissism. You run off manipulation and control. And then you play the victim. You victimize the person that you are abusing. Or you victimize yourself from the person that you're actually abusing. So you abuse someone, you trigger them, you do crazy stuff to them, you break them down emotionally, psychologically, you destroy their name, their credibility, you slander them. And then if they react in any way, you point your finger and you tell everyone, look, 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 I'm a victim, look at them, they're crazy. When you are sitting there poking at them until they literally go insane. But we don't react to that anymore. We don't. And that is where you lost the battle. We got up off the floor where you placed us, and we are fighting for humanity because we love you and we love ourselves. I love you. Okay, that was an intense little speech to the mothers. Let's talk about the mother wound and go into that. But this is something that needs to be talked about and it needs to be healed. We're going to go over the rules of the black sheep, the mother wound, the conditioning into the black sheep role, the different levels of self-hatred, self-harm, all that stuff. We're going to go through all of those layers, and then we're going to get to where we are now and how our targeting has affected these things and awakened these things within us. And then we're going to work on healing them, and then we're going to move on so we can help usher in the new earth, and we're going to stop giving all of our time and attention to the things that have spent our life breaking us. So before you could remember, and I'm talking like before you could remember, you were always told that there's something wrong with you, like you're the bad kid, there's something wrong with you, like, or you're like taken to get like tests run on you, you're told you're like, you're not good enough, you're like fat, you're this, you're that, you're crazy, you're not, you have a mental health condition, or you're getting medicated or something, all in your childhood. But by the time you're like 5, it was heavily brainwashed into self and into the collective of people around you. So your family, your outer family, all that there's something wrong with you and you're a bad kid. So like you're being told this by the person that is supposed to be loving and nurturing and caring for you, that you're a bad kid, and then you're hearing this person tell everyone else that like there's something wrong with you and you're a bad kid, and like talking about all these things that they have to do to like help you, or like get tests done and this and that, and like put you on medication, and like this is all you're hearing about yourself. That's the only thing you've ever heard about yourself, nothing more. So this starts to set into like your psyche, and like you're not really doing anything to make anyone feel that you're like damaged goods. You have high emotions and high empathy, and you express yourself in ways that made them uncomfortable. So something they couldn't understand, they labeled as damaged goods. So now you have this role of something is wrong with you. You're broken. There's something wrong with you. You're being fed this daily. And then they're getting like schools involved. So now you're also being fed this daily at school. You're like in classes that make you feel stupid or whatever. Like, I don't know, but it's all like conditioned around before you even got to school, like anything like that. Your whole family like gets involved, like without even realizing that they're honestly painting you out to be nothing, and they're telling you you're nothing, and they're telling you there's something wrong with you, you're not good enough, and all that, and it's all you hear. So then like you're growing up with this constant pounding of this into your head. By the time that you're like 12, you are completely wanting to exist. Or to 12 years old, you've now been completely like villainized and told there's something wrong with you and labeled the bad child, and this role has been like fed to you by like your caregiver, pounded into your head over and over again, and you're now believing it, and you now no longer even want to exist. This is where the self-sabotage begins, where you pretty much get old enough to create your own hell and stop letting somebody else create the hell for you. So it was like your form of control, because you were labeled, garbage, useless crap by the time you're 12. Well, really by the time you were like 5, it's all you heard is you're a bad kid, there's something wrong with you, blah, 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 blah. And everyone was trying to like fix you and all that, and you're just literally trying to stand up for yourself and defend yourself, and you're ridiculed and called crazy and try to be medicated and whatnot. So from there, your self-worth is completely tanked, and like you start to get into like self-sabotaging behaviors and mindsets and not really caring anymore, and you start to actually take on the role of the black sheep. And it's like it was like taking the power back in a way that you knew how as a child, and it was through pain. Like, they caused you so much pain and so much turmoil. You then, caused yourself pain and turmoil, which then they used and turned on you to be like, look, see, she's exactly as we said she was, blah, blah, blah. But in turn, like, they created those feelings of doubt and those feelings of self-hatred within you that in turn led you to those self-destructive behaviors from lack of love and lack of support, and constantly being fed this delusion about yourself that you're arguing back isn't true, but nobody's believing you. So from there you start to make really bad decisions, and sometimes those loops can last for a really, really long time. It's like, you want to do better, you want to feel better, you want to move better, like, and all that, but like, you having enough motivation and courage to do that for self, it wasn't there. You know what I mean? It was lacking because you never had the support and you never had the love. You then began to have to create that love within, but you went through so many things that like broke you, you know what I mean, before you ever even realize that you had the power to rise beyond this label that you were given. This label that like literally intruded your mind and your thoughts and like your abilities to do things, like, you know what I mean? It was just like cast on you so hard that it was really hard to bypass in anything that you did. Carrying the label of being nothing and worthless and like a problem and like bad and damaged goods and all that is a tough badge to carry, and it shouldn't be given to any child to carry, but unfortunately it is, and it's a dynamic and a generational curse that needs to be broken. And through this rising collective, it is being broken. It's definitely going to be broken in our children, and none of our children are going to be grown up to believe that our children won't be growing up to believe that they're like, there's a problem and they're irreversible and nothing can ever happen. You're just shit and garbage and useless and pointless ever. So, we take those feelings of our childhood and we use that to make things better for, what we have control over now. But a lot of us didn't find our self-worth until we became parents or like got pregnant or like certain things like that, is what gave you the courage, or like certain relationships, though they may felt false. It was like coming from an outside source that started to give you that motivation and that drive and that push to, want to be better. And like for me, that did happen like around the time, like a little bit before, because like I knew I wanted to get out of that area and like away from like certain people. But like around the time I got pregnant with my first child, like that was, and then after she was born, and like, oh my gosh, everything that we went through after that was like, but yeah, usually it's something outside of self because your self-worth is lacking, and then it's like a slow crawl to leading to that self-worth, you know what I mean? But yeah, we're going to end this one here, and then we'll go into part 3. But that self-destructive behavior could last for years, from that point where you gave up on life and you gave up on yourself, be it when you were 12, 13, 14, 15, whenever that occurred for you. Pulling yourself out of that was the hardest illusion to break, and whenever you did that, like, that's amazing, and I'm so proud of you. Like I said, for me, it was becoming like a mom and stuff, and I was lucky in a sense to like become a mom and kind of shift things into perspective for me like fairly early on. And I've had just experience in rising and walking in my true self for like the last, bunch of years now, like 11, 12 years now, and like it really helped me step into who I am and gave me the willpower and the motivation to fight for who I am and to like continue to rise within myself and all that, you know what I mean? And sometimes it takes that for us, but then we're able to like move for ourselves eventually. But a lot of us, it took like something to dig us out of that really broken state of mind that like you've been put in from that label that you carried your whole life, and half of you couldn't even tell the world why or like what occurred to give you the label as a bad kid. You just remember being conditioned into thinking that forever until it was such a toll on your mind. Like I said, by the time you were 12, you literally had you didn't want to be on the planet. It was horrible. Literally, life was horrible. Being you was horrible. Horrible. You had no support. You were constantly ridiculed. You were constantly under attack. It was like you were constantly blamed for everything. It was like, because you really have to have strength to break out of some of the situations that you allowed yourself to get in from self-hatred. Like, that's really what it was. You had no value for life. You had no value for self. And then a lot of like your shame and stuff that you carried was because of the damage that your behavior caused like the people around you. And that's also like why you spent so much of your life trying to like get these people to like love you and like validate you and stuff. And like really they're never going to, because they will not let go of that role, you know what I mean? And like you casted yourself right into the role like they wanted you to, and you know, you fell into like these traps and these horrible like images of self-worth for such a long time. And like they don't want to let go of that role, because that role that you carry makes them feel better and look better within self. So like you breaking out of that illusion and like people being proud of you and like seeing your rise was not acceptable in that dynamic, you know what I mean? And that's what you started to see during your targeting, because like you had done, like a lot of you had done so much stuff that like these people should have been proud of, like, you know what I mean? Like for me, like I ended up helping a lot of people in the same like category of life that like I destroyed myself in, because it gave me, you know, it helped me helping other people, and like I made something out of that. And like, you know what I mean? Like I did only good things, and like there was only things that for like my mother to be proud of. And like it's crazy, like, you know, and I was consistently doing the right thing for like 12 years, you know what I mean? I had like my little weird slips and things with bad relationships and all that, but it was all like a steady rise, and like letting go of some of those bad relationships in itself was healing, and itself was like a lesson, you know what I mean? And everyone goes through that, but everything that I did was like glorified and demonized and villainized and displayed for the world. I had no privacy. So like when targeting came up, and I truly was like the best version of myself already, like there was literally like nothing wrong with me. I surpassed like my demons, and like, you know, I was like living my best life and like being my best self, but I was still surrounded by the people that
so part of all that was like breaking that illusion that you're not good enough and you have no self-worth and you might as well not even try and you're garbage and crap, you know what I mean? Breaking that through that illusion and stuff, that was like the game changer for you. And in order to do that, you had to like step outside of giving a crap what your family thought, and you did that a long time before they started targeting you. And I don't think that they realized how much you had separated yourself from them already to be able to do the things that you were doing. You had to not care, because they didn't support you at all, and they made fun of you, you know what I mean? So like the cord was already pulling, and I think that's why they kind of like came at you too, because you were already starting to like dismantle this character that they gave you to embody, because you didn't want to be that character, and you were trying to show the world that you're not that character, and like they weren't allowing that, you know what I mean? So that was the sabotage, the smear campaign, the takedown, the targeting, the dismantling of everything that you had built and everything that you had become that stood against the image that they built for you. You know what I mean? So like they built the image, then you embodied it, and then you snapped out of it, and then they wanted you to embody it again, and you didn't want to. So like you were willing to die standing in truth to not, you know, not go down with that title that they gave you, because it's not the truth, and you're willing to stand on that until the end of time, because you were too weak to stand on it as a child. You didn't understand it as a child, and you literally slipped right into that reality once, and you're not doing it again. But that's what they wanted for you. They wanted you to go crazy. They wanted you to go isolated. They wanted you to fall back on bad paths, bad things that are bad for your soul. You know, they wanted you to collapse, because they've seen you do it before, because they damaged you. They abused you so bad they watched you collapse before, so they were going to abuse you so bad and watch you collapse again, but you didn't collapse this time. You didn't collapse this time. But you did before, and you stayed there for years. You stayed there for years, and that's where they wanted to put you. It's where they wanted you to be, because that's the role that you have, and you better stay in line, and you better walk that black sheep life. And if you start to become anything outside of that, they will do everything to destroy that image and bury you back under the sand that they once placed you under. Your role is to be beneath them, and they can't stand anything more than that. So if you're celebrating life, you're celebrating yourself, you're doing all the things you want to do, you finally made it, it's not okay. In their eyes, in their aspect, it's not okay, because you're beneath them. And that's where they want you to stay, is beneath them, under them. You know what I mean? So that damage and that role goes so deep, and they will work so hard to make sure you stay in that dynamic and you continue to walk in that role, you know? Even though that role is never who you are, you know, they kind of created that self-hatred, that self-sabotaging person. They created it. You're responsible for how long it lasted and what you did with that, but Okay, so now you're stuck in these little loops of self-sabotaging, and like only you can like blame yourself for those portions, like especially if you carry those behaviors into your adulthood. Like, you know what I mean? It was really hard to see and break the illusion, but like you also have to take responsibility for the patterns that you allowed yourself to get stuck in. But those patterns really actually help create who you are and help you overcome some of the darkest illusions and see through some of the darkest illusions, so you can then help others break through some of those dark illusions. Getting stuck in those loops of self-sabotage can be looked at in so many different ways, but every single loop that you escaped was more tools, more, you know, more enlightenment, more truth into like uncovering like your soul and like becoming. But that was a role that you were conditioned into taking, and it was pounded into your head that, you know, you're poop, crap, and shalala since you were.
Alright, my beautiful black sheep,
So
that
breaking
is
that
it for
illusion
episode number
once
3.
was a
Thank
whole
you for
test not to
tuning
go back
in
down
and
that road
continue
again,
to
and they tried
fight and
everything.
stay
Like, they
strong
literally
and
tried to
move with
destroy
grace
it. They did
through this.
everything
You
that would
got
make a
this.
normal person just off it, like, and just succumb to it, because it's not normal. It's not normal what they did to you. It's not normal what they did to your name. It's not normal the way that they slandered you and projected you out to be the one with the mental health issues, when they're the one displaying mental health issues from the amount of control that they've placed on your life and your image and the way that people think about you, because they don't want anyone to see past that. They don't want anyone to see how amazing you are, and they will do anything to keep people away from you. You have to be the black sheep. You have to keep your role in their dynamic, and you don't want to. So break free. Love you.